so if you wanted to start hitting a punch bag or hitting a pad or something, then you could practice doing that. In this video we're going to be learning all about the Black Octagonal Nunchaku that we have for sale at Enso Martial Arts. We're going to be learning all about what they're made from, who would use them, what classes you might be able to go to learn Nunchaku, and at the end I'm going to give you a few tips and tricks on getting started with the chucks. Hi, my name's Doug Swift. I've been doing martial arts for the past 33 years and I've been the owner of Enso Martial Arts for the past 16 years. If you're liking this video, click the little icon in the bottom right hand corner of the video, subscribe to this channel and get all the latest videos from Enso Martial Arts. So let's get into this video and learn all about the Black Octagonal Nunchaku we have for sale at Enso Martial Arts. So the history of nunchucks is slightly unclear, but the general theory is that they were actually used as rice farmers. So Octagonal rice farmers would use nunchucks to thresh the rice, basically separate out the different parts of the rice after it had been harvested. Now, there is some historical accounts of them being used as weapons, but again, it's still fairly unclear. But nowadays, in modern times, they're a key part of martial arts, and you see them being used or featuring in martial arts all over the place. But really, a Japanese farming tool is where they had their humble beginnings. Now, these Black Octagonal Nunchucks are a really kind of traditional look. I really like them. I really like the rope cord nunchucks. I really like the way they move in the air. You get loads of control, very smooth, just controlled movement from that rope. So I think the ball bearings would change. You get really fast movement, but it's fairly uncontrolled. So the rope, I think, is a much sort of safer way to train. Also, it feels more traditional. It feels like you could fashion up a pair of nunchucks if you're living like in a sort of old traditional village. You could build something like this, whereas like the chain, the ball bearings would be a much harder job. So just having a look at how the chucks are made up, they're made out of oak, which is a very solid wood, very durable, very hard wearing, so perfect for something that's going to get dropped a lot on the floor, occasionally might get hit or bashed against something. But yeah, these are in the shape of, these are in an octagonal shape, so 8 sides and all the way down the length of the nunchuck. And what this does is actually relatively easy to make from a stick. As long as you've got a planer, you can just sand down the edges, and it gives you loads of grip. So the 8 sides all the way along gives you really good grip. Not too rough, doesn't rub on your hands and make them sore, but it allows your hands to stick really well to the nunchucks. So the way the cord is attached is you get holes that are drilled out from the nunchuck, and then the cord's just tied around that hole inside. And actually, for these modern chucks, they get glued in. So you get a dab of glue which glues them in. Now, if you did want to replace the chucks, and the cord does wear out over time, it does wear out the more and more you use it, you are able to just unpick that glue, untie the rope, and put in a whole new set of cord or rope. So yeah, really nice, because it just gives them loads of longevity, and you don't have to throw away a pair of nunchucks that you love and have to buy a new pair. So yeah, really nice feature to have on that, whereas with a replaceable rope. Now, one little tip for just looking after them and keeping them lasting for as long as possible is inside these chucks, they don't tend to file them perfectly. Now, they do a good job on the outside, but inside that hole it can be a little rough, and even though you can just hear it rubbing, don't know if you can pick that up, but you just hear it rubbing a little bit. Now, if you've got time, you just get a bit of sandpaper in there and just take off those tiny little burrs just from the manufacturing of them. Little burrs, just sand them off, and the rope will last a lot longer. So what styles use nunchaku? And like I mentioned earlier, they are like a traditional Japanese weapon that's like part of the Japanese kabudo, like the kind of peasant weapons. There's not really anyone teaching that these days. You might find a little pocket of people teaching, just a random instructor here and there, but there's very few people teaching the the Japanese sort of farming weapons these days, like tonfa, sai, kama. You just don't see it. But you will get classes, like some karate classes, some taekwondo classes, some kickboxing classes like the black belt academies. Some of those might teach nunchucks on the side as a separate class, or just, you know, 10 minutes at the end. So it's worth having a look around. But really, most people that are learning nunchucks now are doing it from YouTube, and they're going on YouTube, they're getting lessons, like beginner lessons, are going all the way through, and that's what most people do these days to learn nunchucking. So just having a look at the dimensions of the nunchucks. Now these are a very standard length. As you'd expect from most nunchakus, they are 30 centimeters or a foot, like 12 inches. Just looking at the diameter, so just under 3 centimeters or 1.25 inches. Just having a look at the weight, these are 320 grams, again pretty standard for wooden nunchucking. So as promised at the beginning of the video, I'll just give you a few tips and tricks on getting started with nunchaku. So these are like basic nunchaku skills. It's not meant to be like a massive show off demonstration, just something to get you started with nunchaku. Now, one of the first things that's really good to do is just get used to like releasing them from your hands and catching them. So just catching it underneath your armpit, switching sides, catching it both ways. Really good. Just get started, swinging them around, getting used to where the nunchuck's going to be, getting used to the control of it, the speed of it. Really good. Now, if you are changing nunchucks, if you've been using chain or, you know, ball bearings, the cord ones do move differently in the air, so but you should get used to it pretty quickly. There's yeah, nothing too difficult about that, but just really good to just get used to swinging them around in your hands. Now another one that I think is really quite good fun to do, and it's kind of got a bit of a martial element into it, is just flicking it out, catching it under your armpit. So flicking it out, you know, and it feels like you could actually theoretically hit something. So if you wanted to start hitting a punch bag or hitting a pad or something, then you could practice doing that. But that's quite good to do because you're just able to just repeatedly do them over and over, and obviously you can do it both sides as well. And if you ever move on to doing 2 nunchucks at the same time, you can do it under both armpits or alternate. Now just moving on from catching under your armpits, you can also catch behind your back. Catch behind your back with alternative arms. Again, this is like a classic recipe for just smacking it into your back, and you know, it's very easy to miss it. It's much harder to aim it into your hand, but once you get used to it, as you can see I'm struggling a little bit, once you get used to this and you get used to where the position of the chuck's going to be, as you can tell, even with me talking to you now, I'm getting much more consistent. Yeah, so give that one a go, and you are going to smack yourself in the back, so just be prepared for that. Thanks very much for watching. I hope it was useful. I hope you learned loads about the black octagonal chucks we have for sale at Enso. If you like this video, click the little icon in the bottom right hand corner of the video, subscribe to this channel and get all the latest videos and updates from Enso Martial Arts. Thanks very much, and I'll see you soon. Cheers!